What's up, guys? This is Jay here with the Bobon Labs podcast for the Friday, January 1st, 2016 slate. It's 2016, right?
Yeah, it's technically
Yeah,
2016.
I
Yeah,
always get these years messed up.
I was doing
Uh,
this on New Year's Eve. Yeah.
yeah. This might be the start of a new year, but like as far as I'm concerned, nothing's new. We have basketball tonight, we have basketball tomorrow, basketball next day. It's just another day for me. How's it going with you? You excited for the new year or what?
Yeah, man. Got to get this new backdrop taken care of since we got the new company name, new company logo. Shout out to Alan for putting that great image together, and we'll have to pay you royalties from here on out because this is officially our new logo.
Yeah, I was pretty stoked with that when he made it. So I had to, put the new logo at least. So I wasn't just bare like I have been. So I'm official now.
We gotta have him add like a little asterisk under to say that it's not to scale, because obviously if it was to scale, then it would
Right.
literally, like, two of his fingers would literally take up the entire.
Yeah, I would need to do it outdoors, like in the mountains, to use the right scale. But yeah, let's jump in. We got a light 5-game slate, luckily on a Friday, which is rare. So this feels pretty good for really everything. I like these small slates, kind of playing wise, projection wise, breaking them down wise. It's pretty much kind of ideal here. So first game I got is the Magic at Wizards. You got a line and injury notes for this game?
Yeah, no line and no total for this game yet. I think this is one of two games so far that we don't have a line and total for. And let's start with the Magic. Alfred Payton still dealing with those two sprained ankles. I only think he played like 5 minutes or so on Wednesday before being pulled out and held out for the rest of the game because Skiles said like he was worried about him overcompensating for his injury and picking up a new injury, which was ridiculous to begin with because he shouldn't have played. There is really literally no reason for him to play. He should have been held out, should have gotten those ankles right. So he comes to this game kind of up in the air. Like, we don't know what his status is, and if he plays, you're kind of assuming that he's going to be limited, not going to play like his full 30 to 32. So yeah, let's break down this matchup here for the Magic. I'll toss it to you. Still kind of Nick Vucevic at the top. We still like, and Evan Fournier, Tobias Harris, Victor Oladipo. Get your takes on those guys.
Yeah, for cash with this, I do think this will be a high scoring game. I saw a total of 205. I'm not sure if that's right, but I saw Wiz minus 2.5, total 205. But either way, if it's updated or not, I think it'll be over 200 for sure. So Wizards have been really bad defensively. So I think, yeah, I like Vooch a lot, especially kind of just looking at the center position for this slate. He makes a lot of sense here. He's still just 7,900 on DraftKings, and Skiles kind of yanked his minutes around last game, but thankfully he got back in early due to foul trouble from his backups. And he struggled at half really bad the first half, but that was more Skiles just kind of being a maniac, I feel like. So he ended up with a fine game again, and he's still consistently logging big minutes, still playing really well, still getting a lot of touches. And I'm not scared of this matchup for him at all. So I'm targeting him in cash. And then, yeah, I think you got to look at Fournier really hard here, especially going against the Wizards right now. And he's been paying off his price, and he's also been playing really consistent minutes here. I think he's a solid price on both sites where you can target him at shooting guard on DraftKings, and then with small forward position lacking on FanDuel, I think Fournier makes for a great play there as well.
Yeah, one of our subscribers asked me on Twitter if I was good with Fournier in cash last game. I said yes, and I think he's fine in cash this game too. I would definitely look at him, especially with this matchup. Wizards shooting guards have been, among the worst at the position of the season, and I think he started last game at like 0 for 6 or 1 for 7 or something like
Yeah, he
that,
did.
and he still rebounded and crushed value. So giving you a little all around potential, can do a couple different things, even if the shot's not necessarily going. And he's seen the volume too. So I like his spot a lot. I'm not really on Tobias Harris. I think you can have some tournament exposure, but not crazy about this matchup going against Otto Porter. And yeah, Oladipo. I think you can look at him in tournaments and kind of hope that Peyton is limited, even if he does play. And obviously it becomes definitely more intriguing tournament option if Peyton is held out of this one. Any appeal in Shabazz Napier if Peyton's held out?
Yeah, I think you look at this 5-game slate overall and realize that there aren't that many ways to really go contrarian. So in some of these big field tournaments, you got to back up. He played 27 minutes last game. So if Elf is held out, I don't think Napier will just be limited to very small minutes here. So I think he can do some damage in a tournament to kind of pay out his price. I actually messed up the position for Fournier. He's shooting guard on FanDuel, small forward on DraftKings. So yeah, just remember that. But yeah, I think tournament exposure to Tobias, a little bit to Depot, and then depending on Elf's status, a little bit to Napier if Elf is out.
Yeah, Napier played 17, not 27. I think you.
Oh, typo.
Yeah. So.
Depot played 29.
Depot played 29, right? Yeah.
As long as my 2 is working.
Yeah. So with Shabazz at 17 in a game that Elf only played 5, it's not encouraging for me at all.
Right. Yeah.
I think even if you give Peyton's 5 to Shabazz, it's still only 22. So I'm not loving him in 22. And yeah, he did put up 18.3 DK points, but that's a kind of a risky way to go about things, is kind of chasing points with guys who aren't seeing more than 25 minutes.
Right. Yeah, I agree there. And yeah, so tourney-wise, really Tobias and Depot, I guess, you can strongly consider there that might be under-owned.
Yeah, so let's go to Washington on the other side here. Kind of the same story injury-wise. Bradley Beal, Nene, Drew Gooden still out. No official word on Gary Neal yet with that strained right quad. I guess we're considering him questionable for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if he sat this one out as well. This for me is kind of the same story as usual. You look at John Wall, Marcin Gortat up top. And then I'm still on Otto Porter as a tournament play. He's been playing big minutes his last 2, got in the starting lineup over Kelly Oubre last game, and has been playing really well. So I think it's basically down to those 3, right?
Yeah, those 3 are kind of the only 3 I'm even looking at on this team. It's hard to find value elsewhere with any of these guys, even with all these injuries. So Wall's been playing great lately, putting up huge points, huge numbers, but he's priced where he's playing. So I think it's a little difficult to get him in there. I think you can, though. You can work your way into that lineup where you can play Wall on both sides, but he's the only player on FanDuel that's over 10K. I think the only player over 8,700. So, he's by far the most expensive guy, and I don't think you need to go him, but he's still a cash game option. I like this matchup for him. I like them at home with, the way they play right now and how much they depend on him. And Gortat, same thing. I think he's a cash game option. I prefer Vooch even at his price than Gortat at his. So I'd be more looking at Vooch than Gortat in cash. And then Porter's interesting if you're kind of not really saving at small forward on FanDuel, but you got to go 2. I don't think he's even, with the minutes he played last game and Oubre playing 14 or whatever off the bench, and then being thin all around, I think Porter's not a horrible cash play, and I definitely like him for tournaments.
No, I don't. I definitely agree with you. I think, especially on the slate, you can't be picky, right? The options are limited, obviously, and a guy who's playing, I think you can pencil him in for 34 minutes in this one. He played 36 in the last one and 32 in the game before off the bench. And you look at this team, and production has to come from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
They're very short-handed, and there will continue to be. And Temple is too volatile. He's very streaky, hot and cold. Can't depend on him for anything, and they desperately need a solid number.
You there? think we got cut out real quick. Are you there?
Yeah.
I got cut out, or the vid got cut out. Were you talking that whole time?
Yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. We're still going.
All right. So hopefully,
Yeah. So Wizards side, yeah. I mean,
hopefully that came through. We had some internet issues there. What I was saying is that Porter, they desperately need a number 3 there behind Wall and Gortat, and Temple's been too unreliable. So Porter has been that guy the last couple of games, and I expect him to continue to be that guy. Until Bradley Beal gets back.
yeah, and then you look at this slate. We have 3 games out of 5 that have really good defensive teams. So this is a game outside of Philly and Lakers that you kind of want to target, especially on a short slate with these cash games. So Porter, that even enhances Porter's value for me, knowing that this will certainly be the second highest total of the slate.
All right, so yeah, we can move on, I think, to the next game here.
All right, cool. Yeah, next game we got Hornets at Raptors. So we got a couple injuries on the Hornets side.
Yeah, we got let's see, Nicholas Batum, Jeremy Lin, Spencer Hawes, all questionable with their respective injuries, and Al Jefferson out 6 weeks, around 6 weeks now after going surgery for his torn meniscus. So yeah, definitely some movers and shakers here. Batum. He was a game time decision, came down to last minute and ended up playing, big minutes and crush value. Kind of an interesting spot for him, if he comes down to the wire again, he draws DeMarre Carroll, which is obviously a lot less favorable in this one. What's your general feeling on Batum in this one?
I liked him a lot last game, even with his iffy status, and yeah, he came through huge, but it was still risky, especially for cash, to kind of go him. And he's questionable again, which is even riskier because he played, a lot of minutes last game. So, yeah, I don't think he's necessary on this slate. You could look at him more on FanDuel where you have to start 2, but I think DraftKings, Fournier is a lot less there at your small forward spot where you don't really have to kind of risk Batum.
So I think the status of Al Jefferson being out, I like Cody Zeller quite a bit. He's kind of penciled in, I think, for around 30, close to 34 minutes. He's going to play big because especially if Spencer Hawes is still out. I know he only played 28 last game, but they're really thin in that front court, and it's basically him and Frank Kaminsky,
Right. And he's looked good. He's playing well. So, yeah, I like him too, even with those 29 minutes. That doesn't really scare me off because I know that with the thin front court, he's going to see minutes, and he's really, really cheap. He's $4,900 on DraftKings and only $4,700 on FanDuel. So, yeah, I think you can definitely look at him for cash as a kind of a punt play who will most likely hit value there. Kemba, Kemba's been hot, really hot lately. His price is up on FanDuel a little bit more, but on DraftKings, it's still only $7,800. Obviously, it's a little bit more of a difficult matchup here, but are you considering him in cash at a lot less than Wall?
Yeah, the minutes will still be there, so that I feel good about that aspect. I mean, for cash, I emphasize floor, obviously, and with Kemba, no Al-Jeff there, hogging usage, and Kemba has really crushed while Al-Jeff has been out. So, especially with Batum kind of up in the air, and he's probably going to get shut down offensively by DeMarre Carroll, who's an excellent defender. Where's the offense going to come from? And, it really has to come from Kemba. And, yeah, I don't like the matchup with Lowry particularly, but it's beatable. I mean, it's a lot more beatable than the matchup with DeMarre Carroll. So
right. Yeah, given the slate, you're not going to have everything work out perfectly really at every spot on your roster. So you're kind of going to have to sacrifice a few places here and there. But overall, Kemba's floor, I think, writes off kind of the more difficult matchup that we see with him. His minutes are huge and his floor is high, so that's something that you always want to target in cash.
Yeah,
And
the
the
total is
points.
95. The total is 95. The implied team total is 95. So, yeah, this is not a spot that I want to be all over on the Hornets on, but you kind of look at the composition of their team right now, and we talked about this before. Like, even with these low totals, it's fine to have a couple guys that depends on like how much percentage of the offense they monopolize, and with Kemba, it's a very large amount of it. And Zeller is just too good of value, so I'm good with both those guys.
Right. Yeah, Frank the Tank's applying the offense a little bit here lately. 20 points last game.
Yeah, I don't mind him at all. I've mentioned him in the past as a
Yeah,
guy that
if Haas is out, yeah.
right that I would look at. Yes, yeah, Haas has to be out because if Haas is there, then Kaminsky's basically just limited to I think back up 4 minutes behind Marvin Williams, which is not as attractive.
Right.
So yeah.
All right, let's move on to the Raptors side. They're pretty healthy now, right?
Yeah, everybody's back. They got Valanciunas back already. He started
Yeah.
last game. Yeah, so
Biombo doubled off the bench, though.
of course he did.
Yeah, that's points chasey, but I mean, on a 5-game slate, Val's not going to go full minutes. So I even think Val can put up a pretty solid line even in limited minutes. He's capable.
Yeah, it's weird because Biombo, when he started 2 games ago, he played 18 minutes. And he came off the bench last game and played
27. Yeah.
It's really weird. So it's kind of like hard to pinpoint exactly where these guys will go because, yeah, he put up 32 DraftKings, but that was because he played 27 minutes. So where do you kind of see the minutes here with split going between Jonas and Biombo?
Yeah, the way I look at it for cash is that they're pretty much split, both in that 20 to 24-minute range. I don't expect either one to go under or over that, but tournament-wise, I think you can kind of take a chance on one or the other, or specifically Biombo, because he's not the one who's kind of working his way back from an injury. So I think Biombo has a ceiling where on this 5-game slate and at a 5,200, I think you can kind of risk him in a couple tournament lineups to have exposure just in case he does see another 26 to 27 minutes and double-doubles, I think.
Yeah, I'm definitely on the side of Biombo over Jonas because Jonas played 20, I think, in both his last 2 games. So he's been steady, and Biombo has been the one that's been jumping back and forth and has that higher minutes side in the interim. Scola only played 21. Patrick Patterson played 20. And James Johnson, I think, DMP CD. So him being out of the rotation completely kind of opened up some front court minutes for those guys too. So I'm fine with taking a shot with Biombo in tournaments as a cheaper option. I don't think many people are going to be on him at all, even coming off his big line. And looking here, it's kind of been one guy that I've been looking at and who has really been carrying this team, and especially in scoring lately, is DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, he's playing
really consistent.
He's playing the best I've seen him play in his career.
Yeah, he's been
the stretch he's on has been the best I've ever seen him play.
Efficient. He's playing well.
He looks like a really good player, which I didn't really ever think he was that good of a player before.
I think he has 21 assists in his last 3 games, so distributing a little bit too. Extremely high floor. He hasn't been below 35 DK points since December 7th. So that's like almost a month of 35 plus DK points. And you have a lot of like 40 plus totals in there as well. So
yeah, I think you look at him in cash and shooting guard is bad. So DraftKings, especially Fournier's small forward there. So I think DeRozan's no doubt the top guy there. I think you look at him or Butler, and I think Butler's value rises if Rose is out for me at least. So I think DeRozan, both sites, makes a lot of sense for cash. I think you pay that price on this slate where you don't have expensive guys outside of Wall. that's it. So we don't have anyone who's really, really expensive. So it's not hard to afford DeRozan here.
Right, and I think given their forms, I'd much prefer him to Lowry. I think Lowry's even more expensive on DK. Is $200 more expensive. So DeRozan's the play here for the Raptors.
Yeah, Lowry's been as bad as this new Kanye track that just dropped. I don't know if you've heard it yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lowry, you can't really go in cash, but at the same time, I like him in tournaments. I think he'll be overlooked because he's been playing really bad all around. But yeah, DeRozan's the guy here. I think both sites you can look at. FanDuel, you can maybe go DeRozan and Fournier in your shooting guard and just call it a wrap right there.
Facts only.
Right. All right, let's move on to the next game. We got the Mavs at Heat. Dallas looking pretty solid lately now that they have an MVP candidate in JJ Barea.
Oh God, that Warriors game was tough to watch, man. I turn out for stretches, and I know you were playing JJ and
no, I can't imagine. It was brutal. Like he just who do you think would win in a 3-point contest between Curry, Ray Allen, Reggie Miller, or JJ Barea?
You have to give him at least 4 points in a 3-point shootout. Like you have to like handicap. You have to give him a little.
Yeah, it's really not fair with those kind of inconsistent shooters.
God, he's oh my gosh, it's so tilting to like.
It wasn't just last game. Like it's the last 4 or whatever. He's shooting lights out from 3. It's crazy.
It is crazy. So Mavs implied at 95.5. They're 3-point underdogs in this one. Deron Williams, I think, will be back. He's technically questionable, but he's been really close to return. They've been talking about him being right there. I think it was close for that Warriors game. I think chances are he'll play on Friday, which unfortunately will take quite a bit of value from the GOAT 3-point shooter.
Yeah, that's good. I don't ever want to consider playing Barea ever, so I'm hoping Deron comes back.
No, I think the upside here is there's no more FOMO. You're missing out on Barea anymore.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, I think with Deron back, if he is back, this goes back to kind of how Dallas has been in the past, especially in a much tougher matchup all around. Well, I mean, yeah, the Warriors matchup was tough, but at least they were at home. This is on the road, and the Heat has stingy defense, and they play really slow.
The Heat matchup, this matchup will be much tougher than that last Warriors matchup because that Warriors matchup was not indicative of their defense at all. They're a team where their offense bleeds into their defense a lot, and you saw them struggle. It carried over from both ends of the floor, and they were leaving guys wide open on the perimeter.
Yeah, miscommunication with rotations too.
Right, and Dirk was routinely, being guarded by like or a smaller player, like close. Like it was brutal. So this is a fully really healthy Heat team that should get Justice Winslow back. Their best defender. So this is really a matchup
tough spot.
And Zaza's been playing incredibly lately. He killed the Warriors in just a limited minutes. I think had like 14 and 15 or something like that. Definitely a tougher matchup though against Hassan Whiteside. I think he's a tournament play, but I'm probably off him in cash in this spot.
I agree completely. Yeah, I like Zaza tournament. What do you do with Parsons on FanDuel where you're starting 2 and he's 5,200? Tough matchup, of course, but
yeah, he's drawing. I think Luol Deng and Justice Winslow.
Right. So, but he's a guy who isn't totally reliant on his scoring, kind of in that offense, and he gets rebounds and some dimes. But I think it's tough. I think he'll be higher owned than I expect, probably just because of his cheap price and kind of the lack of options really at small forward.
Yeah, I think I'm probably comfortable with the full fade here. In this spot, I really question the upside. I think there's a small chance that he can have a big game and have a good line, but I don't know, man. I mean, he did go off for 37 DK points against Chicago, which not a good matchup for him against Jimmy Butler. So
Yeah, it's tough. I think the price on FanDuel, I think 5,200, and you have to start two. It's looking at the list. It's pretty difficult. Otto Porter's 800 more. I like Otto Porter's game and matchup more, but it's not like a slam dunk that you're going Porter over Parsons, really.
I would go Porter over Parsons
Yeah,
based on
but then you have your second. So you have Batum,
right,
who's questionable. You got
right.
Melo in a tough matchup. Small forward's just really bad overall.
Yeah, I mean, so he's more tournament for me. I would just hesitate to pull the trigger on him in cash in this spot,
I
just
mean,
because
you could always go Hazonia if you want.
the second goat,
Yeah,
Hazonia Labs is our alternate.
yeah. It's if this fails.
It's just a flame emoji instead of the hand.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's fine spec in tournaments, but with Parsons, he's playing better. You can visibly see that. I think he's closer to 100% than we've ever seen him so far this season. So yeah, I mean he's on the fence just because of the slate, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. I don't like him as a play, but the options
Yeah,
makes me like him a little bit more. It'll be tough, probably for me personally, on FanDuel to kind of fade him, but it'll depend on how Batum looks after shoot around or whatnot, and kind of if you want to spend up at 7,200, what the rest of your team kind of looks like.
I'll say this that Parsons' matchup is softer here than with Batum and Damari Carroll. So
I mean, yeah. So
that makes me I can talk myself into Parsons, I guess, is what I'm saying.
yeah. If you look at the small forward on FanDuel,
Yeah.
it's brutal.
Yeah.
We don't have guys to really pay up for it, and Melo is obviously in a tough matchup. So,
Right.
and then tournament wise, I think Zaza and I mean Dirk. So let's say Darren, if he is out again, they hold him out one game. Barea is still just 4,400 on FanDuel.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's kind of tough not to go if Darren's out. I probably
Right.
won't go Brea on DraftKings where he's still a lot more.
Yeah, I'm good with 4,400, and I imagine his tournament ownership levels would be pretty high. So
Right.
yeah,
Spot to probably fade if he is the starter.
right. Yeah, against the Heat, just it's going to be tougher overall for him to get off in this spot.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yep. I don't think he'll hit 6 threes or whatever against the Heat. Speaking of, let's move to the Heat side. We got a couple injuries.
Yeah, just the one I have is Justice Winslow is on track to play the McRoberts. Yeah, still out. I think probably probably like a terrible signing in retrospect.
One of the worst that's not even discussed. McRoberts is a huge guy to kind of space this offense out too, especially for Spoelstra. I mean, this should have been huge for them.
Yeah, how many games has he played? Like 34 or something since he signed there, something like that?
It's bad. Yeah, it's been really bad. And he hasn't even looked great at all either.
Yeah. All right. So I think, one guy on this team that we got to start giving major.
I hope it's Bosh.
It is.
Yeah.
It is Bosh for sure. Yeah, and this matchup I feel is fine. Dirk, and yeah, he's kind of the one guy on this team that I'd look at in cash. I think the others are a little dicey. I don't feel great about Wade any time, and Dragic iffy for me in cash as well. So I'm all about Bosh in this spot.
Yeah, Bosh for sure. And you look at power forwards, not even that deep on DraftKings. He's only 7,300. I think that's a really, really easy play, personally. Yeah. You could go like him in your power forward, and with how bad small forward is, you could go Zeller in your forward spot, something like that. And that saves money a lot, kind of with Bosh being underpriced. And then on FanDuel, same thing. I think Bosh is the guy you look at here. It's a great matchup. He's been playing really well. Big minutes, too.
Yeah, it's completely agree. And where are we falling on Hassan Whiteside here? Is he cash consideration or tournament only?
I don't think so. I think this is a slate where you can pay for Vooch and not really kill your lineup. So I'm looking to go him just with this consistency. And Whiteside definitely more so a tournament play, as he pretty much has been the last 3 or so weeks.
Yeah, always the concern with Whiteside is where the minutes end up because I mean he's you kind of seen him swing back and forth, and if he can hit 36 minutes, then you feel a lot better about him in cash. If he's closer to like 30, 31, then he's more tournament for me. And I don't for sure know where he'll end up, so I'll just kind of play it safer and offer him in tournaments instead.
Right. And a guy I like a lot in tournaments here is Dwayne Wade. I think DeRozan will kind of be the chalk at shooting guard on both sides, just the way he's playing lately. And I think Wade's definitely capable of having a huge game in this matchup, especially. And I think it's a way to kind of get off DeRozan and spend 1,000 less and go Wade, maybe, spend that money elsewhere. So I like Wade quite a bit. He's been playing well. He's not – the problem is his upside kind of limited with his minutes, but I think he can still put together a pretty solid line to pay off that price and offer kind of a contrarian play as shooting guard on the 5-game slate.
Yeah, I just give you a different lineup construction than usual. And if you go Wade, you can go fairly safe with the other guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because your roster is going to be different already. Dragic point guards have been pretty successful against the Mavs so far this season, and he's been a little up and down, but at his price 50 or 5,700 on DK.
59 on FanDuel. Yeah, I think you need tournament exposure to him for sure. The slate's there aren't that many options, so I think in some of these huge tournaments, you're going to have to kind of go against the grain, and a couple players on this team fit that criteria.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's move on to the next game. The Knicks at Bulls. You got a total for this one?
I do not. This is the other game that I didn't find a spread or a total for. Do you have one over there?
I saw 198.5 total and Bulls minus 6.5, but that total seems high, right?
It does seem high for this game.
Yeah, I saw it earlier too, and I was like, that can't be right.
Yeah. This is a typical – you get some appeal on the Bulls side at least, but more or less a typical Eastern Conference matchup where it's Fade City for the most part.
Yeah, you don't need to play any Knicks in cash.
Yeah, Melo, you obviously always some tournament exposure is okay, even though this matchup is really tough against Jimmy and a really disciplined Bulls defense. So, yeah, that's about it. I'm off. There hasn't been a single other Knick that's averaged over 25 DK points or less week, Porzingis included. So pretty much off the rest of the team here. Yeah,
it's been bad. And you can't consider, even with a horrible small forward, you're not going to go Melo against Jimmy Butler. So you can fade these guys in cash and tournament. You can play a little, but I'm not that big on. I really like this Bulls defense. I am really excited to see Porzingis and Portis on the court at the same time, though.
Yeah.
That should be fun.
Porzingis and who?
Portis.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so were you ready to move on to
Yeah, definitely. Keep it short.
Go ahead.
Their injury report with Clay Anthony getting popped?
Yeah.
Through and through, though, so he'll be all right.
Yeah. The surgery is only like to clean up the infection. So
right, yeah, he's all good. All right, let's move on to the Bulls side.
Let me ask you, any Robin Lopez interest at all?
I looked at it. I think so. Yeah, there aren't that many options. So a guy like him, I still think he's capable of upside. And in this matchup, you have to kind of figure he'll play a little bit more.
I think he's pretty sneaky here.
Yeah, he'll play a bit, I think.
He's played 29 and 36 minutes his last two games.
Yeah, and Powell, so, definitely. I mean, he's cheap too. So that's a interesting way to go at center. And even on DK, if you want to start two centers and put him in the utility, I think that's a nice contrarian play as well.
Yeah, I actually like him as a tournament play a little bit more than Melo, to be honest, because I think he'll be sneakier and I like the matchup better.
Yeah, for sure. He's a great tournament play.
All right, so move on to Chicago. Yeah, we got the really late scratch on Derrick Rose last game right hamstring tendonitis. I haven't heard anything on his status for Friday yet, so assume he's questionable for now. And then obviously Joakim Noah still out with that shoulder sprain. So yeah, the Chicago team should be interesting, and I think the status of Rose has an effect for sure on how I'm looking at two of these guys, particularly Aaron Brooks at the point, who went off in Rose's absence last game. I really like him off the bench again, especially if they start Kirk Heinrich, more usage for Brooks with that second unit. And it also affects Jimmy Butler, who will see even more usage than usual if Rose is out, and will automatically vault to one of the top cash game plays if Rose is sidelined. So we'll have to keep an eye on Rose, and his status will kind of dictate those guys, though I do like Jimmy either way. I just like him a lot more if Derrick Rose is out.
Right.
Let's talk Pau Gasol here, and he's always been he's been the most consistent and the best player over the past couple of weeks, averaging 41.9 DK points over the last week. How are we feeling on Pau Gasol in this matchup that's traditionally been pretty tough?
Yeah, I think it's a really tough matchup for Pau. So I'm looking at this slate as a whole and looking at other guys at the power forward position on FanDuel, center position on DK that I'd much rather go at a much cheaper price even. So you have Bosch on FanDuel, who's $1,200 cheaper. You got Noel, who's a lot cheaper. You have guys where I don't think you need to go Pau in the spot in cash, given the tough matchup here. Tournaments, I like him a lot. You're not overpaying for Pau, but you're paying for someone at a position where I don't think a lot of people are going to go that route. So I think he'll be under-owned in tournaments. And cash, I'm off him just because of the difficult matchup.
Melo's actually been a pretty good defender this year. I got to give him credit. Like, the metrics look really good for him, and I think he's gotten that rep, and deservedly so sometimes, because he's been lax and lackadaisical and just hasn't gotten back. And but he's been really solid this year. And small forwards against the Knicks have struggled so far this season, and Melo has definitely a lot to do with that. And obviously Porzingis helps there, and the defense has been a lot better with Porzingis on the floor. So
much better, especially at the rim.
Are we concerned about Jimmy here in this spot?
Yeah, I won't go him in cash or even really strongly consider him unless Rose is out, and that'll be the difference kind of. And even then, I like DeRozan more, even at a heavier price point than Butler. I still like him in tournament exposure. I think you kind of have to have some tournament exposure to Jimmy, especially if Rose is out, with kind of his upside and the fact that if Pau is limited with that matchup down low, that you're really only going to get the spark. Butler's going to be controlling a lot. You have Brooks off the bench, and obviously Portis, whose per 36 numbers are outrageous. But yeah, I think Butler definitely has upside, but not really necessary in cash for me. Unless Rose is out, then I think you can take a harder look at him.
Agree there. Let's finish out this team here. Let's talk Bobby Portis again. And I guess people that were watching the pod last time thought Brian and I were dying of laughter because it was about Portis, but it was something. It's an inside joke between the three of us that we were working, and a lot of stuff that you guys weren't seeing off camera was going on.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I got no comment.
You're awful for that, because you're sitting there like you get the ad replies. Oh, these two amateurs are just laughing you off the set because you're talking about Bobby Portis, and you're like giving them the likes on Twitter and just that up.
It's all the way to peers, Everybody's just watching and thinking like these amateurs hating on Portis. No, I'll come truth. I'll come clean. It was not Bobby Portis related.
We're not going to reveal what it was. I think you guys had to.
Well, no, but it just coincided with me hyping Portis. Either way, I wanted to hype Portis.
We could have been talking about Steph Curry against the Sixers, and
Right. It was just timing, but you know,
Yeah,
there will
yeah,
be some conspiracies with this, though, I think, for the rest of the season.
yeah. We still got a free Bobby
You gotta
Portis.
be, yeah, you gotta be hard on that free Bobby Portis to get the people back in your circle.
Okay. So
That's all.
we'll do a little. We'll do a little.
So here's your chance. How do you feel about Portis?
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely good with him in tournaments still at his price, and I did say between the bouts of hysteria and crazy laughter that last pod that I did like him um,
In tournaments,
in
yeah.
tournaments. Yeah.
I was talking more cash. I seriously I was
But
so close to playing him in cash.
okay, if we're gonna be coming clean, Mister Bobby Portis front runner over here, the Oracle didn't even play
Yeah.
Bobby Portis.
I know. He was like 0.3% owned in cash or something. Yeah. I'm just saying I had him in. I went Zeller, but like Portis was better price point wise. I think he's got these minutes now. I think it's Hoiberg's
Yeah,
not gonna.
Nico has been so
Yeah, he's
bad.
horrible.
Nico's been so bad. Yeah,
Nico
so
was like last year. Everybody was so high on him. I never really bought that. I don't know. Did you?
I think
Like, I like him. I still like him, but like I don't
right.
think he's a special, really solid player. And I don't even know if Portis is, but right now you have to give Portis these minutes.
Yeah, and I think people were enamored with the idea of what Nico could be,
Right, stretching the
uh,
floor and
right, stretch four, but he's a 32% 3-point shooter in his career to this point, and this year he's shooting 33% on long twos, and like
yeah, not good.
yeah, and basically he's like 32% or somewhere around there outside the paint or something like that. Just for a shooter that has that rep, it's been awfully disappointing. And yeah, I think Portis does have those minutes for now.
I do
And
too. It's still hard to go in cash. I don't recommend it. But I do like tournament exposure, especially at that cheap price. Opens up a lot. You can kind of pay up for a lot of these guys. Spend at point guard if you wanted to. I think that's a way you can kind of get Wall in there and guys
right,
like him. So let's talk about Taj on FanDuel. I found myself playing him a lot, even though I've never wanted to play him, nor do I ever look at playing him. But he always fits, and he's got a floor. He's rebounding really consistently, playing very consistent minutes here. Are you worried about kind of this game flow and matchup wise at all for him, or?
I am worried about matchup here.
Yeah,
I just don't like this spot
right.
for a lot of Bulls front court players, including small forward. They've been pretty solid. The Knicks,
Yeah, they have, and
the
yeah,
spots.
Taj is getting a lot of his value with those rebounds or offensive rebound putbacks and stuff, and he's just been consistent and he plays a lot of minutes. It's kind of hard, but his price did go up to 5K on FanDuel, and you got Noel, not too much more, and then I think Bosch is kind of a guy you want to center your team around almost to say,
Right.
especially at position. So I don't think you have the need for Taj that we've had lately as far as you have to save salary somewhere. Just play Taj as your second power forward.
But his value is floor, right? And he does give you some safety, security there because he's playing minutes and
I don't think he'll really cripple you ever.
Right.
Right now.
In cash, I don't think you're losing because of him, especially at his price. And he's like the cost isn't there. I think he still has a really good chance of at least 4xing at 5K, giving you 20 points, and probably has a decent shot at like 24 to 25 at 5x.
Right. And I wouldn't really consider him on DraftKings where you only have to start one at 5,600. This is more just FanDuel specific.
And short slate.
Yeah, exactly. I think that does it with the Bulls. Let's move on to the last game. Definitely one of the best games of the season.
Yeah.
The Sixers at the Lakers. You got a line for this one?
Yeah, and no one's favored because everyone comes out a loser in this one. I guess Vegas decided to put one out just because the D-Gens wanted some action. So Lakers, I guess, are 3.5-point favorites. The Lakers, I guess, are implied at 104.5.
Oof.
Sixers, I guess, are implied at 101.
Pretty juicy.
It is juicy. So this is I don't mind stacking this game a little bit because I think it's like you want a piece of the toilet bowl here, and it's going to be some ugly, bad basketball.
Mm-hmm.
No defending, guys.
Lots of turnovers.
Guys, high pace. Guys running back and forth, jacking shots. It's going to be prime. So
it's going to be just like a D-League game, really.
Pretty much. So this is the 28+2 of the NBA, and this is the +2 right here. So let's take a look at the Sixers here. And only injury I have is Hollis Thompson left last game with a right eye corneal abrasion. We're considering questionable for now, and he actually has some impact on the way this team goes because he's actually been playing really big minutes lately, almost like 30 a night. I remember recently I had him projected for like 27.5. So definitely some implications there if he has to sit this one out. We'll see a little bit more Cannon, I'm guessing.
I hope not any more Stauskas, but
technically,
is he the worst player in the NBA?
He's up there, man. I think he is. He can't do much of anything.
Yeah, I really think he is the worst player.
He's a sieve defensively, obviously, and he can't shoot, and he has no skills outside of shooting.
He can't do anything. I think he'd look average in a.
Well, he'd be out of the league if it wasn't for that. You always have that like rep of being the X pick.
It'll take time, but he'll.
Right, it takes a while for that novelty to wear off.
It's kind of like the Jimmer situation in a way.
Yeah, exactly, and he's just.
I'd rather have Jimmer though than Stauskas, I think.
I agree because Jimmer is proven.
He can shoot.
He actually has a bankable skill. At least. All right, so we'll get a little bit more Cannon. Unfortunately, more Stauskas, probably more Bob Covington, and that's about it. Maybe I don't know. We'll have to see, but I don't think any of those guys become.
Yeah, I don't think
more than like dart throw tournament plays.
Yeah, Cannon maybe.
Yeah, Cannon pretty much, and Covington really hasn't been playing that much.
It's been bad.
I really think that he might be long for Philly.
It shows.
Right. I think he's out. I think he's out of their plans at this point, and something's going to happen. Probably maybe before around the deadline, potentially. So I think Ish rules everything around me.
Yeah, Ish for sure. I think it's pretty easy play on this slate. You don't have to overthink. Do you think the Sixers can make the playoffs now that they have Ish? Is it too late?
I think it's too late.
They got 33 losses.
It is the Eastern Conference. Yeah,
so I think maybe after the All-Star break, we'll see the Eastern Conference go back to their usual ways, and Philly could go on a tear with Ish.
I'm trying to see. Let's see. They're 16 games out of the 8 seed.
They're not mathematically eliminated.
Not yet. Yeah. And you can never be mathematically eliminated with
Ish. Right.
Yeah, true.
So I think they have a chance. If you want to place like a value prop bet, that's value there.
What are the odds now? Like
10,000.
Yeah.
But I think Ish for cash, I think is easy. Let's talk Noel. So he had a huge game again. I know we were definitely all worried about Okafor back off the bench, and Noel's just looking really, really good with Ish here. And I think that's real. It's clear in the way they play. And going against the Lakers, is he pretty high on your cash game radar?
Yeah, you have to be looking at him. I was a little more conservative than I wanted to be with Nerlens' projection, but I'll definitely be a little bit more aggressive. What's really picked up with Ish these last 2 games has been the steals.
Yeah.
And you look at all these games before, he was averaging like close to 1 like a game. He wasn't getting a lot of steals at all.
You mean Noel?
Yeah, Noel.
Yeah,
which is weird because when I'm doing projections for Nerlens, right, I'm looking at obviously the points, the rebounds. I'm on the fence. Like, is the steals effect really that real? He has 6 6 in his last 2 and 9 in his last 3.
Yeah, and this is a game where you can expect 2 to 4 for him, and that just raises his floor. Really, he's obviously
Right.
playing well even outside of getting these steals. So
Yeah, if he's scoring 18 to
18
20,
and 8 or whatever in
yeah.
every line, and then you look at these steals, and you know he's gonna get some blocks against this team. So he's a guy at 6,300 on both sides where I'm probably just going to throw him in there, him and Ish on this team against the Lakers with this highest total
Yeah.
of 8. It's something
Yeah.
I'm not really going to overthink.
Yeah, I just throw Nerlens in there. I'm good with him in cash for sure. And yeah, you just right. Just hope the this defensive stats continue
Yep.
and keep going on. And obviously, this is a prime spot for them to do so.
So Okafor saw 20 minutes. What are you kind of projecting him at in this game?
Yeah,
It's pretty tough to kind of see him limited to 20 minutes.
So Larry Nance will start obviously, and you would think that with it, I think they'll probably keep Ja off the bench again. You think, and start Jeremy Grant?
Yeah, and that's the guy I wanted to get into. Grant had a huge double-double last game, so he's a guy I'm definitely looking at in tournaments.
Yeah, tournaments only.
Strongly. Yeah.
Right. The danger with Jeremy Grant is just the minutes. I don't trust it because
Right.
he's been like 20 to 22 for so long that one game isn't going to completely get instill confidence. Like, they still have Rashawn Holmes. They still
Right.
have Carl Landry somewhere in there if they want to go to him, and they have Jakar Sampson if they want to slide him over.
Yeah, they got a lot of guys.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, I like him for tournaments still.
I agree.
I don't think after his last game he'll be on people's radar. Obviously, way more than last game. I think he was only 3% owned. So you're not going to get that, but this is still a 5-game slate, and he's still a contrarian tournament play.
And this is a juicy matchup for him to get defensive stats like Nerlens will and hit some rebounds.
Right. All right, let's move on to the Lakers side. They're pretty healthy right now. So Nance not on the injury report.
Kobe's not on the injury report either.
With a sore shoulder. So with the Lakers all healthy, it's tough. I'm looking at them, and I want a piece of them in cash, but can you really go any of these guys for certain in cash and feel good about it?
No.
They're really evenly distributed. You got their guards are deep, and they kind of alternate. You got Russell's going to get his time. Lou's playing well. I mean, they're all putting up decent numbers, but you can't really rely on any of them with no injuries and really no safety and a low enough floor to where it's not great value even against Philly. It's kind of tough to go any of these guys in cash.
Do you have any Kobe narrative streets for us this time going against Philly?
Well, if it were at Philly, I would, but no, unfortunately, I have no Kobe narratives, but I would like to point out that he got that W in his first trip to Boston and actually doubled and paid off his price. Pretty solid.
Here we go. Got to reel in the fish.
No narrative that I really know. But it's Philly, so I think some tournament exposure to Kobe is fine. I think it's
so. What I like, I would look at some tournament exposure here to Julius Randle.
Him and Russell for sure, I think.
Randle's been playing better out of the duo lately too, and I really like this spot for him, especially if Philly's rolling out smaller fours and he can.
Yeah, Randle should feast.
Yeah,
and he's got a high usage off the bench. I mean, he had a huge double-double last game, and he didn't even play that 28 minutes or something.
Yeah.
27. Yeah. So, I mean, he can get it done, definitely. He's not, like, that far off of even cash for me. I don't think it's necessary, but.
No, he's had 27 DK points in 3 of his last 5, and a low was 19 and a high of 38. So,
he's 5,400 on DraftKings too. So, like, I think he'll have no problem paying off that price in this matchup. That is really good for him.
Agreed. Yeah, he's borderline cash, but probably more tournaments.
And then D'Angelo is a guy I like in tournaments as well. Just facing Philly's kind of second unit there that is obviously really bad. So those guys I like. What about Clarkson and Lou, the starters? Will you have some tournament exposure to them? I think both really deserve some tournament exposure on this slate in the highest projected points team.
Yeah, I probably lean to Clarkson
Clarkson.
just because he's been playing really well lately.
Mm-hmm.
Just been really impressed by him. He's kind of been stifled a little bit by Kobe, so not a I don't know. I I don't think he'll put up a huge line, most likely, but in this spot, I think he can definitely give you a very nice return on that salary, especially when you look at the other options on this slate too. And um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm fine with going on Clarkson. I think he's my number two, definitely my number two tournament option on this team behind Randall.
Randall. Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. I think overall this team just makes for a more tournament team, given that they're really healthy right now. But they have a really good matchup, so it's you're in that spot where you can't really consider any of them too strongly in cash. And honestly, on this slate, I don't think it'll be that tough to make a cash team. We have really cheap overall players.
What do you think about stacking this game in a tournament?
I mean, it depends how big the tournament is, but I think if people are going to stack a game, it'll obviously be this. So I don't think it'll be like super contrarian or whatnot, but I think it can hit and you can cash decently. I don't know if you'll really win with a stack, just given that I think a decent amount of people do it, just stack the toilet bowl. But I like stacking it in a way where I think you can kind of hit value in certain positions and spots where you read the game flow and stuff, like Randall just beasting off the bench. And I think with Noel and Ish, even Cannon. So, yeah, I think there are a lot of guys that are capable of definitely putting up pretty big lines, and especially if this game gets really high scoring.
Why I said the stacking was obviously the game total gives it away. I agree with that. But
Right.
the thing is, like when you look at the individual pieces, I don't think any of them jump out as like super high percentage type players.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You'll get really low
Right.
owned.
So
Like
like
I expect Clarkson to be pretty low owned, and
so
Cannon
how
especially.
many people are gonna have Ish, Noel, and Randall together on a tournament team? You think a lot?
I'd say a decent amount. Yeah.
So what if
I
you put
think
in
it's low. I think that's a fine strategy to kind of cash for sure. But I don't think loading up on this game will get you
yeah,
first place. So,
right, for sure.
but yeah, I think it's a good way to go, especially depending on what tournament you're in. Kind of, I think is a little different with some of these massive tournaments or some of the 4,000 people tournaments or something like that. So I think it's different. The $27 tournament, I think you'd have more value in stacking this game than the sharpshooter on DK or something.
Agreed.
But yeah, I think that's it for Lakers. So this toilet game, I was going to ask, how much would I have to pay you to make you drive to this game, sit in the top corner seat with an obstructed view? No food, no drink, can't even leave your seat the whole game. You have to watch every single play.
It would have to be a lot of money because I am headed to Tahoe tomorrow,
Tahoe's
and
probably a little better than
a little bit more scenic. I don't have to watch um,
you
Byron
could see
Scott.
you could see Fish in Lake Tahoe play better like defense than the Lakers.
Yeah, and yeah.
For me, it would take the equivalent of Boban's next contract. So so hundreds of millions of dollars pretty much. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, let's close the slate out just saying that this is an interesting slate. It's one that I think it's got to be kind of one of those unique ones because most of these smaller slates have those top price guys. So this is one where you have nobody over 10K on DraftKings, only one person above 8,300. FanDuel, you have Wall over 10K, and then no one else over 8,700. So it's kind of lacks the star power, but it makes for I think a great night to play, and especially in cash where you can make solid teams.
Let's run through DK real quick. I'll grab a point guard through small forward, then you can close this out. All right, point guard. Let's see. Yeah, where are we at on John Wall?
I love him for tournaments because I think his price will kind of make him under-owned given the other options where you can kind of save, especially at point guard, like Ish.
Yeah, so John Wall for tournaments. Like Kemba, I'm good with him in cash just because it's the really high floor, no LTF, Batum with DeMar Carroll. Ish is a chalk, auto play. Even at 6,500, his price has gone up on DK. I'm good with him there. Let's see. Dragic, a little bit in tournaments is okay. Barea is worth a look if Darren Williams is out, even in this tough matchup.
More so on FanDuel, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, more so on FanDuel. Like Clarkson as a tournament play. Aaron Brooks, like him if Derrick Rose is ruled out. Would you cash Brooks if Rose is out?
It's really cheap.
Yeah, that's 4,100 on DK. That's really nice.
That's tough. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's necessary to kind of punt there.
Right, on this slate, because you already have Ish at 65, and you can find some other bargains.
Yeah, you got guys kind of to fill. But yeah, I think you can get away with that though.
Okay. Moving down this list, no one else. Off Shabazz Napier, even if Elfrid Payton is out. And yes, do not play Kirk Heinrich.
Right.
All right, so shooting guard. We like DeMar, really high floor, has been crushing lately. Go with him in cash. Jimmy Butler, a little worried about the matchup with Melo, who's been pretty stingy so far this season. Like him more if Derrick Rose is out. Wade in tournaments, Jay likes that play. Oladipo is worth a look if Peyton is ruled out because he'll probably start at point guard. And see a lot of the ball handling and usage there. Yeah, it gets pretty ugly the rest of the way here. Good God.
I know. That's what I'm saying. DeRozan is really good looking on PK for shooting.
Jarrell Eddy at 3K, top 10 in PA.
Oh, yeah.
The GOAT up there.
Obviously. Second best shooter in the league behind Barea.
Yeah. Oh, and Hazonia too.
Well, yeah, that's my secret play.
All right, so Melo, tournaments only because of Jimmy Butler and not a favorable spot. Batum, we're good only in tournaments, but I would probably limit my exposure a little bit against Damari Carroll and with that questionable tag. Tobias Harris, we're okay with little exposure. Parsons, borderline cash on FanDuel, was it?
Yeah, with his price. It's just tough to kind of get two in there that you really like.
Right, and we like Evan Fournier for sure. Like Otto Porter too. Those guys seeing nice roles as of late. Jeremy Grant.
Yep.
Definitely worth a look in tournaments. And yeah, that about wraps it up at small forward on DK. Okay. All right. So let's run through power forward and center.
Yeah, power forward. So power forward I like probably the best overall position top to bottom, or just with plays that are playable. You got Bosch at the top at just 7,300, I think is kind of an easy cash play for me at least, and a guy I'm trying to target. Porzingis, I don't think you really need to have much exposure to. It's kind of a tough spot for him. Noel, I think, is cash playable and tournament playable. I like him in both formats here. Dirk, I'm not too high on there. Taj, I think, is overpriced on DraftKings to where you don't really need to go him. He's not really a tournament play, so I'm not looking at Taj. I think that's more of a FanDuel play. Randall's a guy we both really like in tournaments and really not that bad of a cash play, especially if you kind of get off Noel here. So Zeller also is another guy in cash with that cheap price. And safe minutes. 29 seems like kind of the low for him, so I think he produces there. After that, you got Portis, deserves some tournament consideration just with his per minute kind of upside, and he should still see his consistent minutes there. After that, it's pretty bad. Yeah, really bad. Let's move to center before I go too deep on that list and never come back. So center, top guy, is one of my favorite plays is Vooch. Still, even at 7,900, he's cheaper on DK and FanDuel. I think it's a slate where you can get away with affording him. It won't be too difficult. Powell, I prefer in tournaments. Just with the matchup I'm concerned about, I think it's very difficult for him there. But
Right.
he offers just a pretty high floor, and I think you can have tournament exposure. Whiteside, I definitely think, is limited to tournament exposure. It's a pretty good price for him, though, if you want to kind of fade Vooch and even Powell and go down a little to Whiteside, get a unique lineup and spend elsewhere. Gortat, I don't mind in cash too much at that price. I don't know. What do you think? He's more of a tournament player, though?
Yeah, I think there's more tournament. Yeah.
And then Okafor, Okafor, that's rough. I like the matchup, but coming off the bench and uncertain minutes definitely limits to tournament exposure there. Zaza, I think you can have some tournament exposure to. It's a very, very difficult matchup, but he has played well, and I think he can pay off that price. Valanciunas and Biyombo, I think you kind of got to pick one or the other if you want to go that route for tournaments, and we both like Biyombo more with his upside and ceiling of minutes higher than Val's. Kaminsky, not terrible if Haas is ruled out for some tournament exposure. He scored 20 points. He has a decently high usage with the front court thin off the bench there. And then, one of our favorite tournament plays, Robin Lopez. He's played 29 minutes his last three. He's had that upside, and we both think he'll play a pretty solid amount of minutes and definitely be under-owned here at a really cheap price where you can kind of stack your team or play two centers even too.
Yeah, Robin Lopez, my sneakiest tournament player of the slate. I think he'll be minusculely owned. And
I love that play.
Yeah.
After that, maybe JaVale McGee, just so you can say you rostered JaVale McGee.
Yeah, you're not going to get a Labs membership that way, though. Sorry.
Yeah, so don't do that. It's true.
We're never going to be JaVale Labs by any means.
No, thankfully.
We need to be represented by like really good players and not just guys who.
I think I'm going to rock Boban Labs for quite a bit until I'm hoping Skiles gets fired or Sonia gets traded, and then I can go to Mario Labs.
There you go. And then you can have it. You can change the color scheme a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I'd have to. I apologize.
But it is Orlando.
Ooh, that's true. Yeah.
If he gets traded though, then
right.
So you got to distance yourself from the Magic.
Maybe like the Bulls or something for Mario.
I mean, you got to go red.
Right. I agree.
Just hope he gets traded. Yeah, just hope he gets traded to the Hawks, the Bulls.
What was up? This is way off topic, but what was up with Schroeder the other game?
Yeah, so Schroeder, it wasn't on the injury report, and Budenholzer before the game said he was available. Everyone is available to play.
That's crazy.
But I think I've seen that once or twice in the past from Bud before, and early on in the game, they were saying that Schroeder's like shoes were untied or something.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, and so people were speculating that when Shelvin Max checked in, that Schroeder wasn't going to play at all, and that was kind of like predetermined before, but Bud didn't say anything. So I think maybe he just got the game off or something, predetermined, and we'll be back in the rotation next game.
It's good to know. We'll touch up on that on the next pod, and then we got a write-up coming for you guys for the Saturday slate. It's a pretty big slate, so we won't have a pod, but we'll definitely have content for you to check out, and then we should have content or a pod again on Sunday, and then our usual schedule of Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah, you'll get a solo pod from Brian on Sunday because I'll be traveling.
I told you that just speculating. I didn't talk it over with him.
No, I did talk with Brian about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has no choice.
Yeah, he has no choice. So he's stuck with himself, and he, I guess.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
so yeah, look out for that the write up from John Daigle. Really,
Yeah, they're
really
good
great
too.
cover.
Really good.
Yeah, it'll be dropping I think Friday night for that big
Mhm.
Saturday 11 game slate.
Right. And yeah, good luck everyone with the slate. I think this is an awesome slate to play if you make time. College football, obviously, we got some good games. We got some sports to check out, the new year and all, but start the new year off right, and hopefully you guys crush it, and good luck.
Good luck, guys. Signing off from Bobon Labs here.
Peace out from Bobon Labs.